Alright guys, so we're down our red brick renovation. We've got Richard here from Ampvolt with us today, and we've got a little model that he's brought down of our Lunos E260s that we're using in this project. Practically something that people are looking at is air tightness. That was a big goal of ours on this project. As we've said in previous episodes and information, we've gone from above 23 air changes an hour to down at the moment during construction, wrapping up, we're about 1 to 2 air changes an hour. So Richard spoke to you very early days about planning this out. So by building airtight, we want to make sure we're approaching it with a full scope of understanding what our client needed to introduce. And we were pretty open with her about, for a budget reason, decentralised units are fantastic. Yeah. Along with that, we haven't actually touched like a lot of the envelope, touched the floors and some of the walls. So do you want to talk us a little bit through about yourself, mate, Ampvolt, and this little unit in particular?
Yeah, sure. So we represent Lunos in Victoria, which is a German heat recovery ventilation brand. And it fits in perfectly for a job like this. Builder, designer have done a great job, made it super tight. How do you get fresh air in? So without running ducts everywhere, we can use these small units. They simply core through the wall and they work in pairs. So one sucks the air out and the other one brings fresh air in, and they change directions. And inside of this tube is a ceramic core, and that captures the heat as your old air goes out, humidity goes out the door, and your fresh filtered dry air comes in, gets warmed up and keeps the temperature nice inside.
Beautiful, mate. So I might turn this side on because I myself have used the core drill setup. I've got that on some video that people can look at the moment. Gave me a nice arm workout, but I think that's fantastic because you guys have gone above and beyond to actually get set up so that your clients and builders can actually have the right equipment to install these. So yeah, this is practically it. So here we've got a standard brick veneer home with an old frame and plasterboard. So the unit sits pretty nicely. Normally we'd have like a PVC pipe in basically here.
Yep, that's it.
Look from this, stop the squeaking. So it's actually currently running at the moment. So we can get some closer shots on that, but that's on basically the second level here. We're actually switching around at the moment. And these work in, we'll talk about just quickly, we're putting 2 pairs in this home. So we've got a 2-bedroom home, living, dining, kitchen, open area. So yeah, basically we need a pair, don't we, to make these really functional?
So they can work by themselves, but best in even numbers, so at least 2. And the way we did it here was we zoned it. So I think we've got bedrooms on one zone, living areas on one zone. You can turn them up and down, for the sound. They're pretty quiet, but you might want to turn the bedrooms down low overnight and have the living room just providing that bulk replacement air. And pretty much all you need is a core through the wall and a bit of wiring that any sparky can do with a bit of training. There's no specialist commissioning or anything, and from the client's perspective, they just leave it running and enjoy the fresh air quality.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that's been great with dealing with yourself and Ampvolt is you've actually been lending the advice and education as well with our electricians, and any questions, you guys are only a phone call away, which is fantastic. And the price point, these are really competitive. I know for clients that, as we all know, it's getting more expensive to build, and these are functional to help with when you're building more airtight, so 5 air changes an hour or lower, which we are here. So yeah, I think it's a win-win, and we'll probably see more of these.
Yeah, excellent.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. Hey guys, well thanks for coming. I'm Dean from Backman Builders. We've got Anthony here from Outlier Studios. Got a bit of a team behind us, so Darren's my brother, builder as well. We've got Stephen, one of our boys who's been here from the start. Harry, the cabinet maker. We've got Richard here from Ampvolt with the HRV systems. So we've got a bit of the most important person standing here is our client, Karen, who's a superstar. Yeah, we'll jump into it, but just probably first, it's Karen's beautiful property. As you can see, she's got lovely gardens and maintains them beautifully. So probably just ask that you just stick to the house and the footpaths and not sort of the gardens. If you've got gardening questions, Karen would be more than happy to answer them. But yeah, so basically we're here. This is our red brick renovation. This is predominantly a retrofit to what is an old sort of, I suppose, 1950s sort of constructed home. We see a lot of leaky and, as you know, all probably lived in homes that are cold or hot in the summer and have gaps and drafts and mold issues or rotten timbers, the whole works. So Anthony and ourselves with Karen have been through a full collaborative process from pre-construction to we're entering the last month of the project. So we thought it'd be a good idea to see if anyone wants to have a look through and see what this is all about. Yeah. But yeah, Anthony, you want to talk about early days and what we're up to, mate?
Well, certainly. I mean, the journey began well before our involvement as well, and there's certainly a lot of admiration towards Karen here. She's taken an existing housing stock and has turned it into something that is even far surpasses our minimum construction code standards today. So this home has completely been basically energy retrofitted from the ground up. We now have included an air tightness factor to this, so this home is now well below what we would set as our benchmark for our National Construction Code and air tightness. It's also well above the thermal performance standards that we'd expect with UPVC double glazed assembly-broken windows, insulation all throughout the home. So yeah, very fortunate that Karen had sort of already begun that process and we were able to sort of come in and I suppose, yeah, take that to that final stage together. We'll walk through and talk more about the individual details and what the makeup of all of that is, but one of the things that we've been very mindful about in this project as we start to put things in that were never planned to be there in an older home is to manage, ensure there's not going to be any moisture issues within the assemblies like the floor and the walls as we put insulation in that once was never meant to be there. So that then, I suppose, blocks any ventilation and things that would have allowed that drying capacity. So we've just had to mitigate those by using things like continuous mechanical ventilation and also just, using wraps under the subfloor to stop that vapor transfer or control it how we want it to be. Sealing up around the existing windows and doors as well, just typical things that you can do to any home really to make an improvement. And we've seen the results here and they've been exemplary. And we're going to highlight that. You'll get to see the blower door today, see how that works. You'll have a bit of a demonstration of the thermal camera and what we're looking for with that as well. Amongst an array of other things that we'll talk about, including an operational example of a mechanical ventilation system, a decentralised one. Probably don't want to keep everyone in the sun too much longer, so yeah, if we like, we can go inside and we can talk through some of those details.
So as you come through, this is still a bit of a cleaner construction site at the moment, but yeah, there's trades in here that haven't finished everything, so keep in mind, there's things that aren't quite finished, but you'll notice if you take, as you walk through on the right-hand side, we're waiting on the power company to remove the actual old power unit, but you can see even the connection there, we've left some architraves off. So we've used the plasterboard as an airtight layer for the walls and ceiling. So you can actually see some of the Proclimer wraps and how that's taped to prevent any of the air coming through the cavities through our doorways. We've got Stephen's mocked up a little bit of a model there that you'll see that's got the subfloor. That was all pulled up and we've got a Proclimer wrap system in there. The house is really insulated. Might be a little bit hard, it's be a little bit noisy, but you can actually, without knowing everyone's homes at the moment, I know for myself living in an old 150-year-old home, you walk in here and you just feel the air quality, it's controlled. You can kind of feel it. Yeah. So maybe take note compared to what you've maybe lived in the past or you're living in at the moment. That's the end result. So yeah, just come in. We've got a couple of leads on the ground, so just watch where you're stepping as you come through. And yeah, feel free to have a look around. We will get everyone sort of in the living to sort of lounge area just behind us. So yeah, come in, take your time and we'll go through it.
And I'll just add to that as a matter of housekeeping, if you feel claustrophobic at any moment, you are able to leave the home at any time and get some fresh air. Especially with the blower door running, it won't impact that at all. So feel free to just leave whenever you need to, if you need to.
Fantastic. Come on in, guys.
It's good you touched on, there is a construction code, a national construction code that we must build to, but it is the bottom of the benchmark. If you go below that, it's illegal. So we try to always focus on durability first. That's got to be probably the number one thing. And the top of that pyramid is bulk water management. So at all times, whenever we're looking at a project, it's mitigating water ingress. And that's in wet areas, and it's also externally as well. So there's a big focus on ensuring that when this door here was installed, so the remainder of the windows in the home were previously installed part of Karen's retrofitting works, but this door here was added during our process. And that's also been mitigated as well. And there's details that you'll be able to check out probably in some of our YouTube content on how that all works at the moment. So further that is that nothing is checked during construction. So we say all these great things, like you've got these great performing windows, you've got all this insulation, the air tightness factor, but none of it's actually checked during construction. So you could have a NADHERS assessment, which is an energy rating that says 10 stars, but you really could be having 7-star performance. That's in a nutshell. So that's a big part of our collaboration, is that we're checking the home during construction and making sure it's doing exactly what it was intended to do, and it aligns with that energy rating. The change in this home is significant. We're talking something from from 2 stars to sort of, I think it was 6 or so stars. So a huge improvement for an existing home of this nature. And that doesn't include the air tightness factor. So currently, at the moment, we do have a verification method for checking the air tightness of a home, and we can now, just over the last month or two, put that air change or blower door test result into a NADHERS assessment, but it's not official. And we're seeing anything from a 0.6 star rating to a 1.2 star rating increase in our energy ratings that we're doing with that air tightness factor incorporated. I also mentioned that, we're big on mitigating that bulk water, but we also want to ensure that we're approaching condensation or vapor transfer occurring. So we've wrapped all of the subfloor here. It is airtight and it's completely wrapped with vapor permeable wrap. But by doing that, we've now introduced an issue where if vapor was to get trapped between the flooring and that wrap, how do we mitigate that? So we were able to do a little bit of software analysis to ensure that we were doing that in the right way that would prevent it. The results of that are mold, essentially. So we want to ensure that we've got a relative indoor humidity that's maintained and controlled below 60%, because we know below that it's going to be at a point where mold's unlikely to grow. The other factor to that is surface temperatures. So if we can prevent surface temperature differentiations, I think it's around 12 to 13 degrees or under, we're kind of looking at a surface temperature that's going to start introducing mold as well. So that's a big part of all of the approach, healthy home. For now, I mean, I wouldn't mind just if everyone wants to have a quick look before I spin the blower door, because it's going to get a little bit noisy, but that's what a thermal camera looks like when we sort of get to see behind the plaster. And we can see these lines, and they're the wall studs and the ceiling joist. And when we look, I'm going to pick out something here, so that dark purple line in the corner is a typical framing junction. And I see this quite often, where the house has the external wrap applied, and a traditional frame means that it gets blocked off. So you're now not able to get insulation into that space. And that's what we're seeing there. We can see all the insulation working quite nicely in all the other panels, but that dark blue line is that framing junction that's uninsulated. And all of those add up. So at the moment, the construction code and the Australian standard do say we must insulate continuously and we must do it correctly. But there's no real amount of coverage that's determined. So Sustainability Victoria thankfully did all the hard work and did the research and determined that we really want to have 95% insulation cover. So giving us a 5% buffer. So if we added up all those frame junctions and they were within that 5% that's uninsulated, fantastic. If not, well, we're starting to see a reduction in the performance of the home. Anything further to add, Dean?
Yeah. Well, I guess overall why we wanted to open this up, this is obviously that people are doing a lot of open days, but retrofitting and small renovations are, pretty common in Australia. Most people might just tackle a bathroom or new floors and so forth, but it's a display that we've worked with Karen. We say the C word, we get in trouble for it, but the collaboration of it has been successful, and Karen's wish list to work with from the design team and the build team, she's getting the finishes, she's getting, reclaimed floors. That was something that originally was probably Karen, that was 50-50. We were looking at, engineered versus getting something in that we can show some character to. So it doesn't have to be just because you're renovating or, fixing up your home doesn't mean you can't actually take these steps. From a build point, guys with the clients, like you can actually incorporate some of this stuff. It's easy to, maybe swap out a kitchen later on or fit off some TV units or whatever it might be. But at least Karen now has a home that is going to be well, paying her back, because we've actually also made the call. This is pre-fitted with hydronic panels for heating. We're in a cold climate here, so if anyone here doesn't live in Kyneton, it can be super cold and icy, and like Darren, brother and business partner, will say he comes up from Melbourne and he's like, how do you spend your winter here? So, you know, we get the hot days like today where it's hotter than Melbourne, and we get the colder days where it's definitely colder than Melbourne. So Karen's going to hopefully remove the hydronic heating and not have to turn that back on, and all we're going to have in this home is that split system that's running up there. So by actually spending a little bit more on the performance, energy efficiency of the home and the thermal comfort of it, Karen, over the time, however long she wants to live here for, is going to save money by actually just reducing her heating bills.
And it's good to note that now becomes, this makes this an all-electric home. You know, that's a big part, I think, of what Karen's brief wanted to achieve. And, you know, it's fantastic to be able to do that, to be honest. It's a home that would have, for a long time, relied on fossil fuels for its heating and cooling. And now it's a housing stock that'll be here for a lot longer, and, be able to reduce that.
And just to put that in to perspective, if you're building a new home in Victoria now, you can't have gas. It's got to be, we're building all electric homes as brand new homes. So to do that with old homes is fantastic, and, you know, with solar and making the home, more better performing and healthier, it's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
So,
all right, who wants to see a blower door test?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's nicknamed the red door of truth in industry because there is no hiding or masking this. This will tell us
Come closer if you want, guys.
how the home is performing from an airtightness perspective. And it's worth noting that generally when we talk about envelope order of importance, it's bulk water, then it's airtightness, then it's vapor, and then thermal. So insulation, once again, actually is the least important factor to that envelope's performance. So if airtightness is so important, why the hell are we not testing that in every home in Australia? I don't know, but it's something we're working towards. The construction code does have it in there. So if you are someone who's going to be building soon or is looking to in the future, speak with your team, your designer or builder, and ask about introducing a blower door testing as part of that contract. It's relatively easy to achieve the benchmark of 10 air changes an hour, but you know, as we've seen here, this is going to be far below that, and this is an existing home. And I'll also mention that there is no dedicated airtight layer in this home. It's plasterboard. It's in every home anyway, and there's just some nifty little devices that we can use on those walls, such as these airtight containers compared to a typical metal-faced electrical box or connector. So they're not boxes, and you'll see those around the home. The reason they're on the internal walls here is because this is an older home that had a fitted floor, so it would stop at those internal wall locations. So every wall in this home has been detailed to be airtight with these. All right, let's get to it. So I've already set a baseline. It automatically works out the pressure differentiation between outside and inside and makes an allowance for that as I test. So all I've got to do now is just set it to the 50 pascals of pressure that is the international testing standard. And what we're measuring is essentially how much the volume of air in this home is going to exchange per hour at 50 pascals of pressure. And the rule of thumb to work that out to a natural conversion is divided by 20. So if we do that with our initial result of 23 air changes, the internal volume, so you're heating this entire space of this home, and every hour it was replacing that 1.5 times. So that heater or cooler is just running non-stop to do that. Now, it's barely even replaced, like it's not even, it's 0.2 or something like that changes an hour with the results we're getting.
So we tested this in pre-construction too, guys, and we were at about 23.2 air changes or something like that. So there's a few things that will get there, but we're aiming for that 1 to 2 air changes an hour.
And it translates to real world. It's a equivalent of a 32 kilometre an hour wind. So you do get that. That happens, especially here. All right, so 50 pascals of pressure. We'll just give that a spin. It'll take 20 to 30 seconds to calibrate. You can tell it's airtight when it immediately spikes up to sort of a really high 60 or 70 pascals of pressure, and it'll just recalibrate and level out. You can hear the fan adjusting. That's just it working itself out. It all sort of auto levels, so to speak. Doors, they've all got to be sealed up and made airtight. The front door's got to be made airtight, and there is a new door that's going out into the laundry as well. So once they're sort of, those measures are taken, I expect to see this sitting around 1 air change an hour, which is, if we go talk about passive house again, for the Enefit standard, 1 air change an hour is what they aim for. So, you know, it's a fantastic result. Like, this is exceptional. To take this from something that was 23 air changes an hour, more than double what we would allow under our construction code for any home to be built today, and see it down to something that is sort of close to this air tightness now is significant. And as I mentioned, you know, this naturally the air would be changing 1.5 to 2 times down to now being like less than 0.2 changes. It's holding the heat, it's holding the cool. This is what we want, and that's why air tightness is so important. But it does bring in another issue. And I'm going to stop the blower door now, and we'll talk about what we have to do when we go that airtight. Okay. So that's where this device comes into play. This is an example of a decentralized mechanical ventilation system. Heat recovery, is that this device? Yep. So I'll talk about heat recovery, or maybe, yeah, correct me if I misspeak here too. So the heat recovery element is basically, let's say we've heated up our home, it's sitting at 20 degrees, it's 5 degrees outside. As it's bringing that fresh air in, and it's filtered fresh air, it's warming it up through an exchanger to make it to, I can't remember the efficiencies of this particular device.
This one's about
96% efficient. All right, so it's really efficient, and it's bringing it up to a temperature that's similar to the internal temperature, which in turn means you don't have to put the air heater on. So it's reducing the demand for putting on mechanical heating or cooling. They work, yeah, through it. This one has a ceramic core, I think, from memory, you said? Yeah. So, and there's the filter. So if you've got pollen or allergens or anyone that suffers from those things, this is a way you don't have to open the windows to try to bring fresh air into the home. You can just have this working for you in the background. And they team up. They work really well as an overall system, the decentralized devices. There is another alternative, which is a centralized system, which if anyone wants to look on YouTube, you'll see plenty of examples of that from some of the videos we've filmed in the past. But that's the one where you have the larger device, you know, covered typically in the spaghetti of ducts that run everywhere. And for that one, you need to have it below the airtight and thermal layer. So that does have that additional outlay or installation of having a drop ceiling or a service cavity for that to run in. With these can be retrofitted into any home, and they should be. You can team these up with some smart humidity fans, extraction fans in your bathrooms with a backstop or a damper, and this can all be done for really affordable amounts of money. It's not the larger outlay you'll see of the centralised system. Is it on at the moment?
That's on 2, so that, yeah, I think we were talking, ideally the higher you can run it, but that's on 2 at the moment, and the boys in there, you probably can barely hear it. So yeah, and that's uncovered and uninsulated, not in a wall system. So if you run it high, you can probably hear it, but
yep.
It's pretty efficient.
That's great.
Yeah.
So low.
Yeah. It's so why? Well, that's so that we now don't have condensation issues in the home. You can imagine if we're now this airtight and there's no exchange of air happening in the home, and we're cooking and we're showering and we're doing these things that are introducing odours and humidity into the home, well, that's got to go somewhere. And these devices are just doing it for you in the background. It doesn't mean you can't open your windows and doors though. Go for it. It's just they've got you covered when you've got them closed. The current strategy for ventilation in our construction code is to open windows, and that's a dilution method. It's making an assumption that you're bringing in enough fresh air via opening your doors and windows that it will dilute the indoor air to a point where it is adequate. I'd rather just have way higher indoor air qualities all the time, 24/7. So yeah, that's something I recommend for all homes moving forward into the future.
And windows open too, like doesn't mean we've got maybe a window over here, but you might have a nook over there with no door or no ventilation. And I think got it explained to us when we first started our education into more healthy homes that air's stupid. It might be somewhere where it's just stagnant, and if you've got the wrong temperature issues and so forth, and that's not managed, doesn't mean having a door open is going to fix your problems.
Not at all,
no.
And I'm sure everyone will be, if you're not already familiar with something called the mold index, I'm sure that'll become something we talk about more as well, moving into the future as we're starting to see a bit of emergence of mold affected homes, particularly down south in Australia coming out of winter. Anything further that you'd like to?
Just really to touch on a couple of the detail things that Stephen over here has been in charge of on this project. We're obviously not building a new home, so little things like our control layers and so forth are out of our hands. So, as you're walking around, there's not many downlights in this home. We've got a lot of pendants, but we've actually got these boxes sitting on top of downlights in here where we've got like pointed, just wires coming through there all sealed up. Practically, that's just improving our air tightness in the house. So we've pretty much got these sitting on top, where a wire's just drilled through at its entrance point and that's sealed up. So when we have our downlight holes, with our plaster being our airtight barrier, it's important that we're obviously not having full holes in. And to put into perspective, the holes on here for a passive house, we'd probably be looking, what, Anthony, at one of these or less.
Yeah, or
so
less.
If you've got one downlight, you can imagine that's basically not reaching, a tested level.
Yep. So this is the detailing of the subfloor. So all the existing, well, there's a bit of rectification work for a few that were a little bit worse for wear, but of the joist and bearers. But for the most part, that's been kept. That structure's been kept, and the internal wall structures were all kept. And so to achieve that air tightness basically this particular wrap here has been wrapped over the existing joists, and then down to the bottom level of those joists where it meets the bearers. Probably not explaining this very well, so
that's all right.
and that's a great way of retrofitting an existing home. So the flooring was going to be replaced anyway in the home, and so yeah, we're able to do that detailing you can see here, and that's taped off to the bottom plate of the wall frames, both externally and internally. So it kind of now creates this big encapsulation. So we've got this continuous airtight barrier of the wrap that then connects to basically the plaster, which continues up and along the ceiling, and those boxes are part of that airtight system. So if we were to cut a section through this home and get a pen, we could literally continually draw that line right round, and that's our airtightness.
Yeah, and you will see in the fridge cavity, there's the taping detail. As I said, when we walked in, there's the detail around the door near the front door that you'll still see. And Stephen's cut up we've got Mento roof wrap and the Extanza wall wrap there. So yeah, if anyone's interested, they can take one of each to have a feel. Look around if anyone's got any questions. You've got our emails as well by registering.
I'm happy for everyone to throw questions forward now if you'd like as well.
Yeah. Just one question on the Lunos system.
Yes.
Quite often we'll get days where you've got bushfires occurring in certain areas and you get smoke coming in. Can you put extra filters on that to stop the smoke coming in during those periods? They're not very often, but...
Yeah. Richard, you are the perfect person for this question.
Yeah, so in a bushfire prone area, there's a few things you can do. We do outer hoods that are rated for that, firstly. You can also just close them off and seal them for a short period. There are inner hoods available with more filtration, but obviously the cost of that is less airflow. So yes, it can be done, just with a few workarounds.
Okay, it's just something that...
Yeah, absolutely.
Some days it's not often, but sort of, in the middle of summer, you can sometimes get these days.
Yeah, and there is a larger version of this for everyone who's not aware too well of the mechanical ventilation systems, but it kind of has its intake and extract sort of built in. It's a larger size. I was going to say similar to the bulkhead of the air conditioner, but it's more slimline, and that has a higher filter in it, rated filter in it.
And that one also has an automatic damper that you can put in.
So perfect.
Perfect.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions at all, or happy to just browse around? And then if you feel free to just tap anyone on the shoulder and have a chat. But yeah. So, and don't forget any gardening questions for any of the avid gardeners.
Stephen has a question.
Yes, Stephen.
Did you want to demonstrate like air leak and that with the lower door test?
We've got a PowerPoint over here, the boys haven't sealed up, so I was going to say if you want to power
Yeah,
up.
certainly. Yeah, I think it'd be great. Yeah.
One in the house opposed to a house that's got, say, could have 20 or 30, just how quickly the house will cool down and heat up.
Sure. Yeah.
Have one in the front door as well.
All right. Well, all right. If anyone wants to hop outside, they can. But if you just want to walk past and just feel some air leakage and actually how significant it is, I'll spin the door now and just give everyone a moment if they wish to.